Which is
You're allowed at 3, 2, 1.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all at home for watching tonight's meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, as always, we have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So would everybody please rise? And Councilman Borelli, would you lead us this evening?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We just take a moment of silence to remember the 13 servicemen that gave their lives in the recent airlift. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah. Okay, once again, good evening, everyone. Today's date is Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. And prior to coming out here for this evening's Town Board Public Work Session, our public voting meeting, at 6 p.m. the Town Board met in executive session to discuss the town-wide garbage district, and it was a contractual matter. It was myself, Mary Ann Maxwell, the Town Comptroller, the Town Board, Rich Franzetti, PE, Town Engineer, Rob Vera, Engineer Projects Coordinator, and Donna Stevies, the Principal Account Clerk in the Engineering Department, met to discuss the district bids that were recently opened last month by the Engineering Department. So those discussions will be ongoing, and we'll be moving further with that at some point. So tonight's Town Board voting meeting, there is 7 resolutions that the Town Board is going to be acting on this evening. And for the record, all Town Board members are present with us tonight, as is our Town Clerk, Ann Spofford. Ann, thanks for being here. And Greg Fulchetti will be joining us in a few minutes as well. And Mike Kazari is here too with us tonight. Mike, thanks for being here as well. Appreciate it. Thank you. And his lovely bride, who usually accompanies him. Doreen, how are you? All right, so once again, tonight's Town Board meeting is a voting meeting. And the first item is to accept the Town Board minutes of August 4th, 2021. I need a motion to accept those.
So moved.
So moved by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough and Councilman Shannell. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, resolution number 1 is a resolution making a probationary appointment of account clerk in the Town of Carmel Building Department. Councilman Shannell, would you, resolution 1, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby appoints Kim Bennett to said position of account clerk in the Building Department effective September 13, 2021, at a CSCA Group 2 Step 1 salary level on a probationary basis and subject to the provisions of civil service law and the civil service rules and regulations. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, I'll second that too. And roll call vote.
Councilman Shannell.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. And Kim is with us tonight. Kim Bennett?
Congratulations.
Kim, congratulations. Best of luck, Kim. I know you're going to do well in that department. Mike Conaz is a great guy to work for in building, and I know you're really excited about it. So, and we welcome you to the Town of Carmel family. Appreciate being here. Yep. Okay. So next resolution number 2 is a resolution acknowledging emergency repairs for Carmel Water and Sewer Districts. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 2, please?
So resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as commissioners of the various water and sewer districts of the Town of Carmel, hereby acknowledges the emergency performance of water and sewer district collection system, distribution system, and treatment facilities repairs as fully detailed in the memorandum of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., to the Town Board dated August 11th, 2021, as attached hereto and made a part thereof. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shannell.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution number 3 is a resolution accepting a proposal and authorizing entry into a contract for treatment of upper and lower Tea Kettle Spout Lakes. Councilman Lombardi, would you read 3?
Sure. Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel, as commissioners of Tea Kettle Spout Lake Park District, and upon the recommendation of Town of Carmel Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, hereby accepts the proposal of the Pond and Lake Connection, Newtown, Connecticut, for the performance of herbicide treatment services at upper and lower Tea Kettle Spout Lakes for the year 2022 through 2026 at a total overall cost not to exceed $44,625, And be it further resolved that upon presentation of insurance certificates in form acceptable to Town Council, Town Supervisor Ken Schmidt is hereby authorized to execute any and all necessary contract documentation to effect the authorization upon the terms authorized herein. Be it further resolved, the Town Controller Mary Ann Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer this authorization as read.
Second.
Okay, that's offered by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilman Borelli. Roll call vote.
Councilman Channel?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 4, is a resolution releasing of a bond for Cocoa Farms. This is a site plan for tax map 55.11-1-40. Councilman Borelli, would you read 4?
Whereas application has been made by New York Fuel Distributors, LLC, for the total release of a bond posted in accordance with Chapter 131 and/or Chapter 156 of the Town Code regarding the property known and designated as Town of Carmel Tax Map 55.11-1-40, located at 1923 Route 6, Carmel, New York. And whereas said applications have been reviewed by the Planning Board and the Office of the Town Engineer, both of which have recommended the release of said bonds. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the release of the bond referenced herein, posted as PNC Bank Check Number 0042541 in the amount of $163,000. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lombardi and Councilman Channel. Roll call vote.
Councilman Channel?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 5, is a resolution accepting a proposal and authorizing purchase of ammunition for the Town of Carmel Police Department. Councilman Channel, would you read 5?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, upon the recommendation of Chief of Police Anthony R. Hoffman, hereby accepts the proposal of Eagle Point Gun / TJ Morris Sons Distributors, Thoroughfare, New Jersey, for purchase of ammunition for the Town of Carmel Police Department in the amount not to exceed $15,524.80 under New York State Office of General Services Contract PC number 68734, and be it further resolved that the Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to execute any and all documentation reasonably necessary to effectuate the purchase authorized hereunder, and be it further resolved that the Town Controller, Mary Ann Maxwell, is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this ammunition. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Channel?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 6, is a resolution authorizing submission of a grant agreement for Preservation League of New York State. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 6?
Sure, whereas the Town of Carmel has received notification of award of a grant in the amount of $6,200 from the Preservation League of New York State in connection with the Preserve New York grant program. And whereas said grant was approved by the Preservation League of New York for the Town of Carmel Historical Society Old Town Hall building condition report submitted in connection therewith. Now therefore be resolved, the Town Councilman Robert Schnell is hereby authorized to execute the grant agreement issued in connection therewith, which would authorize acceptance of the referenced grant on the terms and conditions required by the Preservation League of New York. Said agreement to be in form as in file in the Office of Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Channel. Roll call vote.
Councilman Channel?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
And Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay. All right, so resolution number 7 is a resolution authorizing submission of a grant disbursement agreement to New York State Dormitory Authority State and Municipal Facilities Program, project ID number 19264, and this is for grant ID 21321. Councilman Lombardi, would you read 7?
Sure. Resolve the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorize the execution and submission of the grant disbursement application for New York State and Municipal Facilities Program, ID number 19264, in connection with the purchase and installation of an inclusive playground and pavilion at Airport Park. Said application to be in form as filed in the office of the town supervisor. And be it further resolved, the town supervisor, Kenneth Schmidt, and Director of Recreation and Parks, James Gilchrist, are hereby authorized to execute the grant disbursement application in accordance with the provisions thereto. I offer this resolution as well.
Second?
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shannon.
Yes.
Councilman Borelli.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. So we're waiting for Town Council Greg Fulchetti to join us. There is another resolution that we're going to be acting on this evening, so he should be down here momentarily. But in the meantime, I'm going to take this opportunity to go down the list of what grants that are in the hopper right now, and kind of an overview of and a rundown of what we're working on and grants and the amount that has been awarded to the town of Carmel that's being processed. So these are the following grants that I'm going to read off are what we have right now that are ongoing and are being processed by the town of Carmel and New York State Dormitory Authority. The first one's a $250,000 grant from Senator Harkam. It's for a pavilion and children's inclusive playground at Airport Park. That's in the works. It's being processed by the Dormitory Authority. You just heard a resolution acknowledging the grant disbursement agreement is authorized to be signed once that's completed. Another grant we have is a $100,000 grant from Senator Harkam for pedestrian safety improvements on Route 6 at Villa Barone Hilltop Manor. As you all know, that's a very dangerous location for the guests at the Villa Barone. The parking lot is located across the street, and they have to cross Route 6, which is a very busy state highway, to get to Villa Barone. So even though they have valet parkers there, there's a police officer there as well under an agreement with the town of Carmel and Villa Barone. Senator Harkam has recognized that location as being dangerous and a safety issue, and he has authorized $100,000 in grant funding. $50,000 of that will go for LED warning light system that will be installed on the eastbound and westbound side of Route 6, alerting vehicle operators that there's a condition ahead which should require them or will require them to slow down and use caution going through that area. So it'll be two sets of lights on each side of the road. They'll only be activated when there's an event there. So if there's no event, the lights aren't going to be flashing. And the police officer who's working the event has the ability to operate the lights, so he'll activate them and he'll shut them off at the end of the event. So that's a $50,000 grant for that. And the additional $50,000 in that $100,000 grant, Senator Harkam has earmarked towards license plate readers for the town of Carmel Police Department. These are additional readers in addition to what has been installed at various locations throughout the town. This $50,000 will go for additional license plate readers at other identified intersections where they feel that these these plate readers should be located. Another grant is for $50,000 from Assemblyman Byrne. That's for the purchase of equipment to aid the town of Carmel Police Department Marine Division. And the money will probably go towards a multi-use utility truck to tow the boat, but it will not only be used for the Marine Division, it can be used for the other uses in the police department, such as the SWAT team can use that for different practices and uses, and for when we have to deploy the generators at various locations on Route 6 when there's a power outage, they can use the truck for that. They could bring the stop signs out that are located at intersections that are heavily traveled during power outages. So it's a multi-purpose vehicle. It's a $50,000 grant. Thank you, Assemblyman Byrne, for that. There's another $50,000 Assemblyman Byrne grant for upgrades and improvements to municipal water storage tanks in the town of Carmel. So there's $50,000 that's earmarked to go towards the cost of the upgrades and improvements. As the public is aware, the town is undergoing major improvements and upgrades to our municipal water storage tanks. Assemblyman Byrne is aware of that, and he pledged or earmarked $50,000 to go towards those improvements to the water storage tanks. We have a $50,000 grant from New York State Homeland Security. This is for critical infrastructure grant. This is for security upgrades and improvements at the Carmel Town Hall, which includes the town of Carmel Police Department as well. So these are for door entry and exit improvements. So what we're doing with this money is, you've heard this term, we're hardening the structure here. So we're hardening it to make it safer for both users of the building and for employees of the building as well. So the grant money will go towards certain doors that will be locked and can be operated only by those with authorization too, and we'll also be able to track who enters the building and who leaves the building with these new type of door systems. So that's $50,000 that the police department and the engineering department is working on identifying those locations in the town hall where these upgrades should be made. There's a $52,272 grant for electric vehicle charging stations. Councilman Shannon, you're well aware of this. You were involved in it. And this is for 4 stations, charging stations throughout the town of Carmel and Mahopac. Town's grant writer is Millennial Grant Writing Services that the town retained for grant writing services. They wrote this grant, and Councilman Shannon assisted them with that, and we were awarded $52,000 to install electric vehicle charging stations throughout the town. So we're in the process now of identifying where we're going to install those. You know, there's more and more electric vehicles on the road, and they need places to charge their cars.
Right.
So this was a great grant, and it's really wonderful. It's positive for the town. There's a $6,250 grant from Preservation of New York State for the Carmel Historical Society building. It's the old town hall. It's located right up here on McAlpin Avenue. It's a conditions report. So there's an architect that will be evaluating the old town hall and provide a report to the town. And they're present, and they will include visual and non-destructive observations of the exterior and interior of the building. And the task will be to provide the fixed investigation, the interior investigation, a written report, a cost estimate, and the presentation for that. So those are just some of the grants that I wanted the public to be aware of that we have the funding for from our state representative, Senator Harkman and Assemblyman Byrne, and our grant writer, Millennial Grant Writing Services, is finding money for us. So they're doing a great job. And they're also writing the Environmental Facilities Program has grants that they issue every year to municipalities. And the consolidated funding application has been submitted. The consolidated funding application is a multi-million-dollar grant application, and this is for our water improvement projects, which the Hamlet of Carmel Water District 2 is undergoing major improvements and upgrades. That's in the $35 to $40 million range. So we're hopeful that the town is going to receive money from the consolidated funding application that is going to be submitted by Millennial. I met with them, the engineering department met with them, Mary Ann Maxwell, our controller, met with them to identify where the funding needs are and what should be applied for. Obviously, water and sewer, our infrastructure, are the biggest costs, and we're hopeful that we're going to be awarded some money for these projects in the town of Carmel. So these are all ongoing. I just wanted everyone, the public, to be aware that there is funding out there that we are receiving in the form of grants, and we're hopeful that we're going to receive more grant funding in the future. But we are working on a bunch of grants right now.
And others are pending. We do have others that are pending right now.
There's others that are in pending state right now. So there means that they've been applied for by Millennial Grant Writing Services. Thank you, Bob. And the status is pending on those. So we haven't been awarded that, and we haven't been denied that at this point. But we're hopeful we're going to be awarded some more money. So the grant writing services that we have for the town of Carmel, Millennial Grant Writers, was a great investment.
Excellent.
Right?
Excellent.
Because you need a grant writer. You need a grant writing firm. You need people who are serious about it and who are very, very proactive. And this firm that we retained is very good at that. You're doing a great job. So the money is well spent for our grant writer. As you heard, they're bringing money back to the town of Carmel.
Absolutely.
So that's great, and I recommend we continue using their services.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank you.
so are we all set? Okay, all right, so we're going to move forward with two additional resolutions in tonight's town board voting meeting. Councilman Lombardi has one that he's going to read, and then Councilman Borelli has the second one that he's going to read. So we're going to act on those now. Frank?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of the Town of Carmel Garbage District, hereby awards the bid for contract number C-273 for collection of refuse, garbage, recyclables, and bulk, cluster container pickup, cluster option A, to Oak Ridge Waste and Recycling, Danbury, Connecticut, at an initial annual contract price of $492,984. And be it further resolved that upon submission of bonds and insurance certificates in form acceptable to Town Council, Town Supervisor Ken Schmidt is hereby authorized to execute said contract and any other necessary documentation required pursuant to this authorization. I offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, offered by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilman Borelli. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shannon?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. So, Councilman Borelli, would you read the second resolution?
This one's a resolution authorizing rejection of bids and authorization for rebid, collection of refuse, garbage, recyclables in bulk for the residential container pickups, single-family homes. Resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of the Town of Carmel Garbage District, hereby rejects bids received in connection with Contract C-273, collection of refuse, garbage, recyclables in bulk for single-family homes, residential pickup. And be it further resolved that Town Clerk Ann Spofford is hereby authorized to re-advertise for bids for collection of refuse, garbage, recyclables, and bulk residential container pickup, single-family homes, for initial contract period of 1 year, commencing January 1, 2022, with 2 single one-year renewal options, exclusive in favor of the Town of Carmel. Be it further resolved that the town engineer, Richard J. Franzetti, shall furnish detailed specifications to be used in conjunction with the town's general bid conditions. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, I'll second that also. So seconded by everybody in.
Call.
Offered by Councilman Borelli, seconded by all. Roll call vote.
Councilman Shannon?
Yes.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, that concludes the Town Board voting meeting agenda items for tonight. Is there anyone here that would like to come up to comment on the agenda items only at this time that we covered? There were 9 resolutions that we read. Does anybody would like to come up and comment on those? Come on up at this time. Okay. All right, there being none, we're going to open up the floor now to open forum. This is the new business portion of the meeting where you can come up and address town business, town-related business with the town board. Must be a resident, taxpayer, or business owner to comment at this portion of the meeting. Jeannie, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Wow, this is really low. Okay, is that better?
That's better.
How's everybody?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I'd like to thank State Senator Harcum and Assemblyman Byrne, and I know Bob Shannon, you work on these things, and I thank you. I know we've talked about it. It's our money. It's New York State money, and it's nice to get some of it back. So I do thank you for all your efforts with the company that's working with you. So thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit about the police boats. So my concern is that, you know, we all want Carmel Police to have the best equipment they possibly can to be outfitted. We want that lake nice and safe. We don't want any accidents or problems. So that's a given. We need that lake covered. My concern is, why is it not covered? It's not covered because Putnam County decided to take the boat out of the lake, right? They voted on that a few months ago. So, you know, we have 2 legislators. We have Neil Sullivan and Amy Sage that represent the residents around the lake, right? Their welfare, their well-being, their safety, their tax dollars as well. So I'm just wondering, did anybody reach out to them before that vote was done and perhaps ask them to hold off on that vote until next year? Because it sounds like when that was in the works, as Chief Hoffman mentioned, the boat that we had wasn't doing very well mid-season. And from what I understand, you seem perplexed. No, am I wrong in saying that?
No. Well, you said the lake isn't covered. The lake is covered. Did you mean?
Well, we had 2 boats,
right?
Right.
Did you mean it's not covered by the county? Was that what you meant?
Right.
Because it is covered by the town of Carmel.
Right, but we
Okay.
need 2 boats. That's kind of agreed upon. All 5 of you said 2 boats is better than 1?
Well,
Well, it's
there's a
not-
boat that needed work, and then there's another boat that's going to be new, and it takes some time to get that boat
Right.
together, the new boat.
So that's what
You're-
I'm
you're
getting
out.
at. Unfortunately, so it seems like those 2 representatives of District 8 and 9 left us in the lurch here, and they could have held off on this until next year, till we had a boat in place, so that there was coverage of 2 boats. So I'm wondering if anybody reached out to those two representatives, those two legislators that represent this district and the lake area, to say, hey, can you not do this till maybe next year? We got a boat in there, if you're going to do something like, kind of pull the rug out from us.
Well,
Anybody?
Unless I'm mistaken, I don't think we had two boats covering the lake at any one time, unless it was a huge holiday weekend. But other than that, there was only generally one.
So there
boat
wasn't a
covered.
sheriff's boat on Lake Mayapack?
No, it was a switch on and off.
It was a
It was
switch.
just like every other weekend. or-
So where was that, where was the sheriff's boat kept?
There were two boats on the lake during the busy weekends, Memorial Day weekend,
Right.
July 4th weekend, and Labor Day weekend.
Right.
So both, when the sheriff was patrolling the lake, both vessels were out there, Carmel's
Right.
and the sheriff's department.
Okay, so,
Aside from that, they alternated weekends.
okay, and so going forward, what will Carmel do? Same thing?
Going
The
forward.
new boat will only be busy on 4th of July and Labor Day and Memorial Day, or
Well,
how's that going to work?
We're purchasing a new boat.
Right.
The current boat has a new engine on it now.
Right.
So that's 100% back in service.
Great.
That's been in use.
That's great.
So that's completed. So the second boat that we ordered, that the board approved the purchase of.
Right.
Once that's delivered and once that's in service, theoretically, yes, we can have both boats out there at the same time. And
Okay.
I would support that, having both boats out there patrolling the lake. That lake
Okay.
is that busy.
Right.
There's that many boaters out there, and you need two boats out there. No
Absolutely,
question
and
about
that
it.
goes to my point. So
Right.
why was that voted to be taken away from us? Did they ask you guys
They
as
didn't- no,
representatives?
They did not ask. They didn't. And
Did you
personally,
ask them?
You've asked the question. I didn't reach out to them, Gene, to be quite honest with you. I don't know if any of the other board members did.
That was
or
their
not.
decision in during their
Mike?
budget of what they were going to budget, those funding in for the sheriff or not. And it's, I guess, the sheriff's decision whether to put the boats on there.
Right, so,
Because you-
right, so, and that goes to another point, that now, instead of the county paying for that, and
And
they
it's not
had
a
funding.
county location. To tell you the truth, I don't know why the county was there to begin with.
Well, so instead of the county
It's a town,
paying,
it's a town lake.
now it's, we're paying,
Well,
right?
we don't
Now,
pay-
now
no,
Carmel's
we only
stuck with
pay
the-
half.
with the
No, it's
nuts.
not a town
We're still
lake.
getting.
No, it's a New York State lake.
It's a New York
That's
State
a
lake.
whole other ball
Yeah,
of wax,
it's
why
not
New York
a-
State's not
We're-
patrolling, I'll
we're-
never understand.
Gene,
Maybe I don't know, but anyway.
Gene, we're reimbursed, at least, I think it's 50% of the cost for the.
Yeah, as was the
of-
county.
The county was also.
Yeah.
Right, they
Right.
were, that's correct.
So
And-
I guess I'm just really concerned because they kind of left us high and dry for this summer and partially
Right.
for next year.
You need-
And I don't understand, I read the resolution about the boat, and it was for, drug safety and homeland security. Didn't that exist a few months ago when they were deciding on this?
Yeah, I would go up and ask them, and
Well,
what their
what I'm
motive
asking you
was.
guys is if anybody, you knew, you should know, right, what's happening in the county as well, and this should have been somehow shared with you by either
I
Neil
know
Sullivan
I
or
know
Amy
I
Sage.
shared with
They
anything.
share very little information with the town. I'll be quite honest with you.
Okay, well, that may be a
On-
phone call
on
you
what-
want to make.
On what they're doing, on what they're doing.
I
I agree
understand
with
that,
you.
but that hurts everybody in the town, right?
Except for.
We usually learn about those things when it's done, when it's completed, so
So
whatever.
it's
fun-
unfortunate that those two representatives, again, that represent the lake, didn't reach out and say, hey, guys, Ken, this is your town, this is what's going to happen here.
No.
Didn't happen?
No.
All right, so that's something that residents should know, because that's not representing
I
people.
I learned about it from Chief Hoffman, our chief, when he became aware.
Okay.
But Gene, let me just, the lake was never not covered or not safe because the town of Carmel took instead of every other week, the town, our
Right.
police department just did it. So there was never an issue of there not being coverage on the lake. There was always coverage on the lake this summer.
So what you're saying is that we only need one boat,
What I'm saying
because we
is-
only have one boat now,
What
right?
I'm saying is, on the busy weekends, 2 is better than 1.
Right.
But in general, there was either, how it had been previously was every other week, it was either the sheriff's department and then
Right.
the town of Carmel department. But
Right.
we got reimbursed for the 50% that we were out there anyway.
So where was the sheriff's boat slipped for the Mayapack?
Where
the
was it slipped?
I
Right.
think it
What do you mean?
It was
that
launched.
at
One of the marinas.
Mayapack Marina?
It was launched, it wasn't dry docked, it was launched.
In a slip? It's in a slip?
It was in a slip.
Yes.
Was it in a slip?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, from May till
I-
September,
till
October,
October.
April, whatever, like a boating season. So the boat was there. So you could talk about busy weekends. What I'm getting at is, I'm sorry, but in an emergency, you had two boats. Okay?
No,
When there was a tragedy, you had two boats that could attend to
No,
that.
they took the boat away. We.
Prior to them
Prior to-
taking.
Yes, prior to
Okay,
that,
we're kind
yes.
of, because you're saying it's a boat and a half, so what I'm getting at is, there
Yes.
there
There
was a
was two
Carmel
boats
boat
available.
and a sheriff's
Yes.
boat, up
Yep.
until June?
Yes.
Right, now Dutchess County has that boat, they built it beautiful, I don't know if you guys have seen pictures, beautiful little dock and a slip for that boat on the Hudson, but, okay, so we lost those two boats.
Gene, can I say something?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
Lake Mayapack has gotten to the point
Yes.
where every weekend's a busy weekend.
Right.
It's not just Memorial Day, it's not just July 4th, it's not just Labor Day weekend.
Right.
Every single weekend. They have Tiki Day,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy out there, right, on the lake. There's boats all over the place.
Do the
Everybody's
flag
partying,
parade, right.
Having a great time, and I'm glad they are.
Right.
So that's not on one of those, that's on an off weekend, it's not the busy weekend. Then they have another Pirates of the Caribbean weekend out there.
Sounds fun.
A lot of fun, it draws a lot of boats. And then they have the Veterans Parade. So the lake just isn't a three busy weekend lake
No, no,
anymore.
not anymore.
It's from May,
Right.
May 1st, let's just say, until September 30th.
Right.
All right, so two boats need to be out there.
right, so that goes to your point, Frank, of talking about, we have one boat, we really needed two, one was taken away, we were left in the lurch. I'm just concerned because there were two representatives on the legislature that represent the Lake District,
I
and
hope-
they
I
did
hope
nothing
people
about
remember that
it.
At the next election.
I'm sorry?
I hope people remember that at the next election.
I hope so
You're
too.
absolutely
I
right.
hope so too. That was
I
Neil
wanna just
Sullivan and
say
Amy
something
Sage.
to what I said
Absolutely.
before.
Absolutely. Shame on them.
We never controlled two boats. We only had control of one.
Right. No, that's understood. Absolutely understood. Right.
Okay? And the lake, I've been on that lake for 45 years. It is unbelievable
Right.
what has happened to it from when COVID broke to now.
Right.
You know, it's just mind-boggling.
Right.
The change on that body of water.
Well, and you've had those tiki days and parade days and other days last year, 2 years prior, 5 years ago.
You
Yeah,
definitely need.
so you've needed the
two
boats
police
for a
boats
while.
on there.
Yeah.
And you definitely need enforcement for the marinas that are opening up overnight.
And
I
the
mean,
partiers.
There is more boat traffic on that lake now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you go behind Kobu, there's two more slips with 8
Right.
boats on it.
But,
Eating a slice of pizza back there the other day, looking at it.
right.
I mean, there was never a marina there.
Yeah.
But whoever owns Kobu understands now that at $2,500 a boat, and you put 10 boats out there.
Right.
It pays its taxes.
Right.
And then it goes back again, and I keep saying this, and I'm going to continue to say this, when you did the reval, when this town did the reval, there were individual slips where people paid $800, $1,000 a year in taxes. Those same slips became $2,000 to $4,000 in taxes. And people, rightfully so, rented a slip next to their own boat. So in at least 50 spots that I can count, there was 50 boats, now there's 100. And you take those 50 boats, and the other 50 that shouldn't be on there, it's 100 boats
Right.
that should not be on the lake right now.
Right.
You need 2 police boats.
Right. And we
Really
had
do.
2 police boats. We had them.
Yes, now we do.
And now we don't. And now we're stuck, from what I understand, the other boat won't be,
We will.
hopefully. So not only did we kind of get stuck the half of this season, but we got stuck. So again, if you want to talk about, safety and enforcement, we've been left in the lurch by our
Gene,
legislators.
There's 1,000 boats moored on that lake, boats
Right.
and jet skis. And I'm not counting paddle boards,
Right.
kayaks, sailboats.
Right.
You know,
Swimmers.
I'm motorized.
Right. Kids coming
Just
off the
motorized.
docks.
I
Yeah.
know there are, right?
Right.
Because I spent an early Sunday morning motoring around the lake, counting them all, all right? Do I have a boring life or
It's
what?
doubled in 5 years. The boat
Well,
traffic on that
Does he
lake.
want us to answer that question, Mike?
Go
It's,
ahead.
it's a
I
shame.
drive a beige Volvo, too.
Yeah, no, it's just a shame. And,
I don't know what that means either.
You know that.
we'll be paying for the manpower on those boats as well. Now Carmel's stuck with that cost, right? That
We're
overtime.
reimbursed 50%.
Yeah, well, the county was too, so, but anyway, okay. And the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was the traffic control that Carmel was asked to do at Villa Barone. So I know that it was always traditionally the sheriff's department, and I understand we did a contract with Villa Barone, and that covers any kind of injury or anything like that. My question is, and I really don't know a lot about the police contract, what do we have? We have workman's comp, obviously, for our police officers, right? Do you know what the limit is on that, like when we start to pay in? I know it's a stupid question, and I'll tell you why, because I heard Mr. Sullivan mention at one of the legislative meetings that when a deputy gets hurt, the county's insurance, the workman's comp rather, doesn't kick in until it's $1.5 million, $1.5 million. So the county is on the hook for up to $1.5 million.
They're self-insured. They're
Who's self-insured?
The county is.
The county is-
The county is. That doesn't apply here with us.
No,
That's
no, I understand that.
The
So
workers' comp portion of it.
right. So, but we have workman's comp for.
We do.
Right. So what is our limit set at, or
From $1.
from $1?
Yeah, because the county has self-insured retention, so they're on the hook for the first million? or-
1.5 million. I was shocked to hear that. That was shocking to me.
And then- Right.
Okay. So how does that work then? Since Villa Barone is privately owned, if one of our officers, God forbid, anything should happen, Villa Barone is on the hook for that kind of workman's comp, or how does that work?
No, they're covered under our workers' comp, 207C. It'd be a 207C claim. It's a line of duty claim if they were injured there. And there's a portion of the payment that Villa Barone makes to the town.
Okay.
$125 an hour.
Right, that I heard.
There's a portion of that is included in the cost of workers' comp.
Right. Now, in an unfortunate event like that, who would be covering the overtime for the police who are covering the injured officer? Does Carmel pay that then?
The overtime?
Right.
Which overtime is
If we had an officer that was injured,
Right.
now we have to fill that spot, who's paying that?
Fill the spot in the rotation here.
Right.
In the
Mhm.
schedule.
Overtime would be overtime.
It would be overtime?
Right.
It would be overtime.
And Carmel's on the hook for that?
We are, yeah.
Okay,
Of
all
course.
right.
Yeah.
So how does it work
There's no injuries.
when they do the Putnam County Golf, when they have their concerts there? Again, that was traditionally the sheriff. From what I understand, it's now Carmel?
No.
No?
We did it once.
Did it once?
We did it at the opening concert event.
Okay.
The county or the operators of the event at Putnam County they needed somebody there.
Right.
They contacted Carmel PD. We
Okay.
agreed to do it just for that opening event until they figured out how they were going to do it going forward.
Right.
But it's not our officers working the event anymore.
Okay, and when
I
we
don't
did
know
it,
who is.
yeah, when we did it that one time, did we have to have a contract with Putnam County at that time?
No, they reimbursed us for our costs.
So there was no contract?
There was no contract, but.
Why not?
there-
I'm just curious.
Because it was just, they called, they asked for help. We provided them help with traffic. I believe it was 2 officers.
So it
And
was-
they agreed to reimburse the town for any costs that were associated with that.
Right,
And they have.
right, okay, so
So
they paid for that,
We
right.
were made whole. In
Right,
other
yeah.
words,
No, I'm just curious because that's something that the county would be profiting from and not us, and yet I would just want to make sure that they're covering
Correct.
our costs.
Right. They got an
And
invoice for the 2 officers that worked there.
so there was really no contract because it was just the one time?
Right.
Had it continued, would there have to have been a contract with Putnam County?
If it was going to continue, I would say so, but
Okay.
I can tell you that it was not going to continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
I'd
was
be
not-
highly against
it-
that.
It was
Yeah.
one time and one
Yeah.
time only, and I was assured that it was not going to continue.
Okay. All right, I think,
The sheriff is not on the lake, and, it's like, it's disgraceful. The whole thing is just disgraceful.
oh, it absolutely is, Mike. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that's all I have. I think that was it. Oh, so we do have the boat, a new motor for the boat.
Yes.
Yes, okay, great.
A motor was found by McDonald Marine out on Long Island. He drove out, picked it up, and he had the motor on the boat by Friday evening at 4 o'clock.
And was the gas tank you said was leaking as well? Is that
Gas tank,
okay?
It was a minor repair.
Okay.
Very minor. It was taken care of when they transferred the new motor over.
And then my last final question is the reason that we're getting a boat from Washington State because of that federal contract?
Yes.
Yes.
Because we're on the eastern seaboard. I just can't imagine us having to pay almost $9,000 to trailer a boat from Washington State to here.
They killed us, too.
There's no
Yeah.
other way, huh?
No.
It's one of
No.
the few companies that actually manufacture, though,
Right.
police boats. in all fairness. But I
Okay,
looked at
so
that
like
too.
Candlewood Lake, Lake George, all those places, they're all getting them from Washington State as well? Okay.
On the federal contract.
Because you know how this works, right? You know, we have social media and someone's like, hey, here's a beautiful center console boat for, you know, 50 grand, brand new, trailered and everything, 2021.
Gene, if I had my say, and I'll have it until the end of the year, so next spring, if the new boat is delivered by, I don't think it will, by May or June, there should be 2 boats out there, no question about it.
Right. Well, there's always has been two boats.
I recommend that
There
2
always
boats.
has been 2
Right,
boats, correct?
Right. It's going
Right.
to cost more money
Frank.
now. Keep in mind, it's
Oh,
going to cost
absolutely.
more.
No, they stuck us twice.
You have 2
Yeah.
officers per boat.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
4 officers you're paying out.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks,
All
guys.
right?
Thanks very much.
Okay. All right. Mike, did you hear that? 2 boats? I'm not, I'm just, so anybody else would like to come up? New forum, open business portion of the meeting? Kim, you don't want to, right? Okay, all right. Okay, anybody else? No? Okay. All right, does anybody else have announcements?
I have two announcements.
All right.
And the first announcement is, as we've done over several years, there is a box here at Town Hall where we are collecting for the benefit of the St. John's Food Pantry school supplies for those who cannot afford it. As most of you know, the St. John's Food Pantry services the entire Putnam County, so people from all over the county come. I was asked by the parish manager, I had a conversation with her about some things that we can help them with, and they asked for if we can help them with that. So there is a box here, there's some stuff already in it. It's going to be for the next couple of weeks. School starts, I think, the 10th, 9th or 10th. So if anybody has the ability to do so, please, pick up what you can and put it in the box here, and it'll be picked up. The second one, there is a second annual prayer walk for all nurses, firemen, EMS. Please join us for a second annual police walk honoring first responders for all they did during COVID last year. It is on Sunday, September 26th, from Veterans Monument on East Lake Boulevard. Sign in at 12, walk begins at 1. Okay? That's it.
Okay, thanks, Frank. Bob, you have anything?
No, just they're still working on the water lines up in the hamlet. They're a little bit behind, I think, and they're still finishing up St. Michael's Terrace, and they're doing DeColoris, Fair Street, and they already checked in with the school because school starts tomorrow, and would like to wish all the kids well tomorrow, the first day of school, and all our teachers and administrators, and they're going to make sure there's no interference between the work and the buses going back and forth on Fair Street into the high school, and the middle school, obviously.
And vehicle operators should
Vehicle operators
watch out
should-
for buses.
Yeah, be
school
careful,
buses.
school buses, and
They
just be
stop for
careful
their
through
red
that area.
Flashing
Exactly.
lights and the stop signs.
Right.
Be careful. Gotta protect our
Don't
children,
pass
too.
buses, take your time, and it's going to be nasty tomorrow, so give yourself a little extra time to get where you have to go.
Okay. All right, yeah, that's your usual answer. Mike, did you have anything? All right,
Did
so,
you say it or not?
say what?
School buses?
Yeah, I did. I've said it. So I started work on the 2022 budget. Yes, next year's budget is my budget. Sorry, Mike. So we'll promise a good budget. We started work on that. Mary Ann and I will be meeting with all the departments heads and managers. We have all the vendors and outside contractors have submitted their budgets for 2022. So the process has begun. My budget, the tentative budget from the supervisor, is due by September 30th, and I will have a budget by September 30th for next year. So the tentative then goes to the full board for deliberations, and then the full board begins working on it. And we're required under law to adopt it by November 20th of this year. So we have a lot of time between September 30th and November 20th. So that's when the full board gets involved in it. But right now, the tentative budget would be my budget for next year. So I began working on that with Mary Ann, and we're going to try to submit a good, responsible budget for next year. So, all right? So that's it. So we're going to close the meeting now. We're meeting next Wednesday, September 8th, for a town board work session right here at 7 p.m. All right, so I need a motion to close. So moved. So moved by
Second.
Councilman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Channel and Councilman Lombardi. Roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Be well.